So for those who don't know and haven't seen the Steve McNair documentary, why don't you tell them why you appeared in the doc?
Well, Netflix reached out to me about it maybe a year ago, I would say, if not more. It's one of those cases. It happened back in 2009, so here we are 15 years removed, but it's one of those cases where people still have a lot of questions. And me being a former Nashville police officer who spoke out against the investigation, if you will, and to Steve's death, they wanted to hear what I had to say about what I believe happened to Steve and Sahel Kazemi, aka Jenny.
And did you see the documentary? I don't know if you saw it.
I did. I watched it after people reached out on social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter. So I did watch it. Really wasn't, I guess, impressed with the limited time that they spent talking about the investigation. But apparently, I'm not the only one because, overwhelmingly, there's been a lot of people that have said, hey, we wanted to hear more about the investigation. Yes, we definitely want to touch on Steve's career and his life. You can't take away what he did in the NFL for college football or Alcorn State, but also the bigger picture is the investigation and the flaws and the gaps in that investigation.
Yeah, I actually, watched it myself. Obviously, that's why I reached out to you. Yeah, I feel like that part about what you were doing and the theories was definitely like unfathomable. Like it was so much, and they try to squeeze it in like what, 5 minutes? I mean, do you think they purposely did that?
I think so. For whatever reason, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to the producers of this show since. I know I spent the entire day with the crew in Nashville, Tennessee, filming, talking about the case. We actually drove around the city of Nashville. I took them to the actual crime scene. So why they did that, I don't know. But again, overwhelmingly, people wanted to hear more.
Do you know if there will be anything in addition to that? Because I feel like with Steve McNair as a football fan, I mean, it should have been a series. Do you think there's going to be an additional documentary, or will you put out something?
Well, I don't know necessarily if Untold will be doing anything else or Netflix in general, but I know people have reached out to me that want to actually do a more comprehensive look into the investigation. So I can say I'm working on that. I can't, disclose who that's with, but I can say after it aired, several production companies reached out and said, "Hey, we want to do something specifically regarding Steve's case." I still have a lot of friends on the Nashville Police Department that are in my corner that that were on the department when that happened or joined afterwards that say, "Hey, we don't believe it was a murder suicide as well." Now, why Charles Robinson and Norris Tarkenton, uh, you know, said that was the official case? Were they under pressure? Maybe. I mean, think about this: if it was a guy named Willie Johnson and um, Teresa Thomas inside that condo that were dead, that weren't an NFL player, that wasn't this big superstar, which wasn't this big icon, I think Nashville police would have taken their time and investigated the case.
Do you believe the 2009 case should be looked at or reopened?
Absolutely. I believe it should be reopened. I tried to get it reopened, I want to say in 2010. I always tell people I forgot more about this case than most people ever heard. But I did present a case to the grand jury back in 2010 to try to get it reopened. But that was denied because they said I had no physical evidence. And, my pushback was, well, Nashville police won't even release crime scene photos to be able to tell the story of why this is not a murder suicide. But, if you look at if this would have gone to a court of law, there's no way Jenny would have been found guilty. You look at all the other evidence, call it circumstantial, call it whatever. But when you have a guy who says, "Oh, I just sold the gun. I don't even know her name," and that turns out to be a lie. You have a guy who says, "Yeah, I called her at 12:02, but I was nowhere to be found. I was at my friend's house," and then that turns out to be a lie. You have all of this stuff that you can easily contradict the gun sale. the motive. She was worried Steve was seeing other women. No, she wasn't. Because I can tell you that the same person that told Nashville police that Steve had given her a key to move into the condo just 2 days before told me the exact same thing. Right. So when you look at all of this evidence, overwhelming, that says what would be her motive, what would be her opportunity, why would she do it, then absolutely it should be reopened. There's no doubt in my mind, Adrian Gilliam, for whatever reason, is the shooter. It's his gun. It was his gun from the 2 years before he bought it from his friend until it showed up in that condo on 104 Lee Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee, July 4th, 2009. It was his gun, and it was always his gun. And there's no proof that he sold the gun. The only person who ever said anything about a gun sale was Adrian Gilliam. Jenny can't say, oh, I didn't buy a gun. And more importantly, Steve's gun was recovered at the crime scene. So if she really wanted to kill Steve, she could have just used Steve's gun. Why involve Adrian Gilliam, some a so-called stranger, as he put it? Why involve him? Steve's gun is at the condo. She
Oh,
wants to
wow.
steal Steve,
Mhm.
kill Steve, just shoot him with his own gun. She's a 20-year-old female. I've been married twice. Out of all the text messages, all the phone calls, don't you think a 20-year-old female would let someone know that she was that mad that she may do something?
Mhm.
There's no text messages there, but I tell you what Nashville police did. They took certain text messages and took them out of context to make them fit their narrative. Like, well, 2 days before, she texted him and said, I'm going to have all of you soon. So we knew that meant she was going to kill him. But if you look at the text thread, I love you, baby. Steve replies, I love you too. Jenny replies, I'm going to have all of you soon. Yes, you will. We know what that is. It's a booty call, right?
Yes, yes.
Just like her going to the condo that night. Again, she had no plans of seeing Steve that night. She goes home, she changes clothes, she texts Steve, well, I'm just going to go to the condo around 11:15. Again, if she's suicidal, she's homicidal. Where's the text like, you MF, I hate you, I can't stand you, I can't stand you. And more importantly, why be in a bra and panties with music playing upstairs when you're dead if your intent is to kill your lover? Because if their theory was straight, she bought the gun at 6 o'clock. Why even go back to work for 3 more hours? What's the point? What are you going to make some tips to leave for your family? Right?
Right.
Why not just get the gun, go to the condo, and start texting Steve? Come over here, come over here, come over here, come over here, come over here. None of it made sense, but yeah, let's make it seem like she was spiraling out of control, as they put it.
Mhm.
And a lot of people reached out again on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and they're like, "Wow, we never heard that." And I'm like, "Of course you never heard it because they didn't want you to hear it, right?" And their only comeback they can always do is, "Well, Vince Hill never worked a murder." Well, it's not rocket science. You know how many, what do they call them, web sleuths have solved
Hmm.
homicides?
That
You
is
know what I
true.
mean?
Hmm.
So it's like you don't have to work a murder to know, like, hey, this doesn't make sense.